17 black female celebrities who had the most seductive lips. Across generations, these black women turned a single feature into an unforgettable part of their image. From classic Hollywood red lips to modern beauty icons, their smiles, lipstick choices, and natural features captured millions of eyes. Stay with us to discover who stands out most and subscribe to Black Legends Revealed for more iconic stories. Dorothy Dandridge. Dorothy Dandridge's most unforgettable beauty image came with Carmen Jones in 1954. Her scarlet lipstick, softly defined Cupid's bow, and slightly parted lips gave Carmen the sensual confidence the role demanded. Vogue still cites Dandridge's red lips in the film as one of old Hollywood's enduring beauty looks, while Essence describes red lipstick as part of the glamour power and seduction associated with her image. That look was especially important because Dandridge was initially considered too demure for Carmen. According to an account discussed by the Makeup Museum, she worked with Max Factor makeup artists to create a more provocative appearance, including a stronger cat eye and bright red lip, before returning to audition for director Otto Preminger. She won the title role. Did you ever realize how much Dorothy's famous red lips helped shape the Carmen Jones image audiences still remember today? On screen, the lipstick worked with her expressions, rather than overpowering them. Dandridge could tighten her mouth into defiance, break into a teasing smile, or hold a man's attention with barely any movement at all. Carmen became the role that transformed her into an international star. The performance also made history. Dandridge became the first black woman nominated for the Academy Award for Best Actress. Photographs from the 1950s show that she continued returning to rich reds and other clearly defined lip colors, making her mouth one of the strongest features of her old Hollywood look. Decades later, that scarlet-lipped image remains inseparable from Dorothy Dandridge's reputation as one of classic cinema's most captivating black leading ladies. Josephine Baker. Look closely at Josephine Baker's portraits from Paris in the late 1920s, and one feature repeatedly draws attention: her dark, carefully shaped lips. Against her slicked-down hair, pencil-thin eyebrows, and expressive eyes, the deep lipstick gave her mouth a sharp, sensual definition that became part of the visual identity audiences associated with her. Baker arrived in Paris in 1925 and quickly became a sensation with La Revue Negre. Her dancing, comic timing, daring costumes, and uninhibited stage presence turned the 19-year-old American performer into one of Europe's biggest stars. The following year, her famous appearance at the Folies Bergère in a skirt decorated with artificial bananas pushed her celebrity even further. When you look at Josephine Baker's old portraits, do your eyes go first to her famous hairstyle or to that unmistakably dark, perfectly defined mouth? Her beauty styling was carefully controlled. Time later described Baker's pencil-thin brows, slicked-back hair, and dark lip color as defining elements of the beauty aesthetic surrounding her era. In black and white photographs, that dark lipstick created strong contrast, making the outline of her lips especially prominent whenever she smiled, sang, or posed in profile. Baker also understood how much expression mattered. Her performances moved rapidly between wide smiles, teasing glances, exaggerated comedy, and sensual stillness. Her mouth was constantly part of that performance, not simply a cosmetic detail. That carefully painted lip remained visible as Baker's image evolved from provocative Paris entertainer to elegant international star. Decades later, photographs from her early career still capture why her face became so instantly recognizable. The sculpted hair, arched brows, dramatic eyes, and those sharply defined lips at the center of every expression. Sade Adu. A single photograph of Sade Adu from the mid-1980s can explain why her beauty became so recognizable. Her hair was usually pulled into a sleek ponytail or braid. Gold hoops framed her face, and her naturally full lips were painted in a rich, precise red. That crimson pout became as closely associated with Sade as the calm voice behind Smooth Operator. When Diamond Life arrived in 1984, Sade's appearance stood out against the louder beauty trends of the decade. She favored clean skin, strong brows, subtle winged eyeliner, and carefully defined red lips, rather than constantly changing her look. Vogue has repeatedly identified the red lip as one of the central elements of her signature style, while Essence described her combination of brown skin and rouge lipstick as an enduring black beauty image. Did you ever notice how much of Sade's sensual image comes from something as simple as the way she wears red lipstick? Her lips rarely needed elaborate shaping. The color followed their natural fullness, drawing attention to her mouth whenever she sang or held one of her famously composed expressions. That restraint became part of her appeal, polished, sensual, but never overworked. The look has remained influential for decades. When Tracee Ellis Ross appeared with a long braided ponytail and matte cherry red lips, Vogue immediately recognized the styling as a tribute to Sade. More than 40 years after Diamond Life, Sade's red lips remain one of the clearest signatures of her image, an understated detail that helped turn her into one of music's most enduring beauty icons. Rihanna. Rihanna has changed her hair, clothes, and makeup countless times, yet the shape of her mouth has remained one of the most recognizable details of her face. Her lips have a pronounced Cupid's bow, a full lower lip, and enough natural definition that even a simple gloss can make them stand out without heavy liner. That feature became more than part of Rihanna's appearance when she entered the beauty industry. In 2022, Fenty Beauty released its Fenty Icon lipstick in packaging and a bullet shape directly inspired by Rihanna's own Cupid's bow. Rihanna also explained that she had loved lipstick since childhood, remembering how fascinated she was watching her mother apply red lipstick. When you picture Rihanna, which look comes to mind first? The glossy nude lips, or one of those unforgettable deep reds. She has never restricted herself to one signature shade. Over the years, Rihanna has worn classic crimson, brown, violet, blue, black, and almost bare-looking glosses. Beauty editors were already noting in 2017 that her lips could appear in dramatically different colors from one appearance to the next. That experimentation eventually became central to Fenty Beauty. Rihanna created the original gloss bomb in Fenty Glow, specifically to flatter a wide range of skin tones, while her Stunna lip paint line later pushed into intense reds, chocolate brown, nude, pink, and black. What keeps those looks unmistakably Rihanna is the mouth underneath the color. Gloss emphasizes its natural fullness. Matte red sharpens the Cupid's bow. Darker shades give the entire face a more dramatic expression. For Rihanna, lipstick has never simply covered her lips. It has repeatedly turned one of her most distinctive natural features into the focal point of the whole look. Diahann Carroll. When Julia reached American television in 1968, Diahann Carroll brought a kind of polished black glamour that primetime audiences rarely saw. Her makeup was elegant rather than excessive, and one feature continually drew attention: her beautifully shaped lips. Through the years, Carroll wore everything from soft pink and nude shades to deeper reds, eventually making the classic red lip one of her most recognizable beauty signatures. Her appeal came from restraint. Carroll's lips were naturally full enough to stand out without dramatic overlining, and lipstick usually followed their real shape. Combined with her high cheekbones, expressive eyes, and carefully styled hair, they gave her a sophisticated sensuality that worked equally well in photographs, nightclub performances, and close television shots. When you look back at Diahann Carroll's classic portraits, is it her eyes or her perfectly defined lips that catch your attention first? Her beauty also carried greater significance during an era when cosmetics made specifically for Black women were far more limited. Former Vogue columnist Audrey Smaltz has recalled how few suitable beauty products were available before companies such as Fashion Fair expanded the market, while identifying Carroll among the Black women who became major sources of beauty inspiration. Carroll continued evolving her look, rather than freezing it in one decade. Pink lips appeared during her younger years. Richer reds became increasingly prominent, and later red carpet appearances often returned to a confident crimson mouth. Essence notes that red lips eventually became her signature. From Julia to Dominique Devereaux in Dynasty, Carroll's lips remained part of an image built on elegance, control, and unmistakable screen presence. Pam Grier. In Foxy Brown, Pam Grier often needed only a close-up to establish exactly what kind of woman had entered the room. Her large afro framed her face, smoky eye makeup sharpened her gaze, and her naturally full lips were usually finished with glossy brown, chestnut, or reddish tones. That combination became one of the defining beauty images of 1970s black cinema. Essence specifically remembers Grier's foxy brown makeup for its smoky eyes, dramatic lashes, and lips glossed to perfection. Grier's breakthrough had come a year earlier with Coffee in 1973. The role established her as a major box office presence, while Foxy Brown in 1974 cemented the mix of toughness, sensuality, and unmistakable personal style that followed her for decades. When you watch Pam Grier in those 1970s close-ups, is it her intense eyes or her full glossy lips that capture your attention first? Her mouth was often styled with restraint, rather than exaggerated outlining. Deep, earthy shades complemented her complexion, while gloss emphasized the natural fullness of her lower lip. Vogue later singled out Grier's foxy brown look as one of cinema's memorable lipstick moments, specifically pointing to the character's deep, chestnut-colored lips. That detail mattered because Grier's beauty never existed separately from her characters. Foxy Brown and Coffee could be seductive in one scene and completely controlled or dangerous in the next. Grier's expressions moved just as easily between a relaxed smile, tightly pressed lips, and a hard stare. Decades later photographs from that period still explain why her look remains so recognizable. Natural hair, strong eyes, glowing brown skin, and full lips that became an enduring part of Pam Grier's screen image. Tina Turner. By the time Tina Turner entered her solo peak in the mid-1980s, her beauty look had become impossible to separate from her stage presence. The wild, frosted hair drew attention first, but photographs from the private dancer era repeatedly show another strong, detail-sculpted cheekbones paired with coppery or scarlet red lips. Essence later singled out those red lips as one of the defining elements of Turner's 1980s image. The color worked especially well because Tina's mouth was naturally expressive. During performances, she could flash a wide smile, tighten her lips during an intense lyric, or hold them slightly parted while moving across the stage. Red lipstick emphasized every one of those expressions without needing elaborate shaping. When you picture Tina Turner at the height of her solo career, do her famous legs and hair come to mind first, or those bold red lips? The look became especially recognizable around 1984, the year What's Love Got to Do with It turned her comeback into a global breakthrough. Archival photographs from that period repeatedly show Turner with smoky eyes and vivid red lips, a combination that matched the tougher, more confident image she had built for herself. Tina also experimented with warmer copper red and glossy shades, rather than wearing one exact color throughout her career. Essence noted that these coppery lips and frosted hair became some of the decade's most recognizable beauty trends. Her appeal was never dependent on lipstick alone, but the strong color gave extra definition to one of her most animated features. On stage, every smile, shout, and lyric passed through a mouth that had become part of the unmistakable Tina Turner image. Whitney Houston. Long before Whitney Houston became a global superstar, lipstick was already one of her favorite parts of getting ready. In a beauty interview from her teenage modeling years, the 18-year-old Whitney said she loved lipstick in all different shades, even though she also preferred keeping the rest of her face relatively natural. That early fascination stayed visible throughout her career. As her music became bigger, her lip colors became bolder. During the 1980s, Whitney often paired bright red or pink lips with pastel eyeshadow and voluminous curls. By the 1990s, she experimented with deeper burgundy, purple bronze, and glazed red shades that emphasized the natural fullness and clear outline of her mouth. Vogue later highlighted the red lip and pastel shadow combination as one of her recurring beauty signatures. When you picture Whitney Houston at the height of her career, do you remember the dazzling smile or those perfectly painted lips? Her mouth played an important role in the way she photographed. Whitney had a pronounced upper lip shape, a fuller lower lip, and a wide smile that could completely change her expression. Deep lipstick sharpened the shape, while glossy or bronzy shades made the lips appear softer and fuller. The 1998 My Love Is Your Love era gave one of the clearest examples. Whitney appeared with layered blonde hair and a deep burgundy lip, creating a more mature, dramatic image than the bright makeup of her early career. Her influence was strong enough that MAC Cosmetics later created an official Whitney Houston collection with her estate featuring red and neutral lip colors, inspired by the looks she wore throughout her life. Whitney's lips were never dependent on one particular shade. Red made them dramatic nude tones, softened them, and burgundy emphasized their shape, but that unmistakable smile remained the feature tying every look together. Eartha Kitt. Eartha Kitt could turn a single syllable into flirtation. Her husky voice, deliberate pronunciation, and slow, knowing smile made her mouth one of the most expressive features of her public image. When she recorded Santa Baby in 1953, that combination of voice and sensual delivery helped establish the sophisticated teasing persona she would carry for decades. Her beauty was just as distinctive. Kitt had pronounced cheekbones, almond-shaped eyes, and naturally shapely lips that often appeared carefully defined in publicity photographs. Essence later described her as a performer who oozed sexuality, while Glamour remembered her as a major beauty icon whose feline features and famous smile remained striking well into later life. When you watch Eartha Kitt perform, do you notice how much of her seductive presence comes from the smallest movements of her lips and smile? That quality became even more visible when Kitt joined Batman as Catwoman in 1967. Her heavy eye makeup, long ponytail, claw-like nails, and controlled facial expressions created a feline character that fit her naturally playful screen presence. Allure specifically noted the distinctive styling of Kitt's Catwoman, while her performance added the unmistakable purr that audiences still associate with the role. Away from Catwoman, Kitt could shift easily between glamorous gowns, understated makeup, and darker evening looks, but her mouth remained central to her appeal. She rarely needed an exaggerated expression. A slight curl of the lips could communicate amusement, challenge, or desire. That combination of expressive lips, an extraordinary voice, and complete control over her image made Eartha Kitt one of the most memorable black beauty icons of her generation. Diana Ross. In many photographs from the Supreme's 1960s heyday, Diana Ross did something surprisingly simple with her lips. Instead of always reaching for dark red, she often wore pale pink or nude shades, allowing the natural shape of her mouth to stand out against heavy lashes, sharply defined eyes, and perfectly styled hair. As her solo career took off in the 1970s, that look evolved into glossy lips that became part of her glamorous disco-era image. Ross had been interested in beauty long before Motown. She studied cosmetology while attending high school in Detroit, and later recalled doing hair for herself and the other Supremes while the group toured. That experience gave her unusual control over how she presented herself on stage and in photographs. When you picture Diana Ross in her prime, do you notice the enormous hair and dramatic lashes first, or the glossy smile underneath them? Her lips have a naturally rounded shape with a defined upper lip and a fuller lower lip. During the 1970s, sheer gloss and warmer tones emphasized that fullness without covering it beneath a heavy outline. In photographs from the mahogany period, the combination of luminous skin, sweeping eye makeup, and softly colored lips created a sensual look that became closely associated with Ross. Interestingly, her personal makeup routine has often remained straightforward. Ross told Vogue that a quick makeup look might consist of very black eye pencils, mascara, some blush, and a light lip gloss. That light gloss became especially effective on her. Whether singing with the Supremes or appearing alone under disco lights, Ross frequently used shine rather than extreme color to make her lips look soft, polished, and unmistakably glamorous. Beverly Johnson. When Beverly Johnson appeared on the August 1974 cover of American Vogue, the image immediately became part of fashion history. Photographed by Francesco Scavullo, Johnson's face filled the cover with little distraction. Smooth skin, softly defined eyes, and naturally full lips that gave the portrait much of its warmth and sensuality. She became the first black model to appear on the cover of American Vogue, breaking through an industry whose beauty standards had long centered on white models. Johnson's lips were especially suited to the makeup trends of the 1970s. Instead of relying only on bright reds, her editorials often used warm browns, peaches, berry tones, and gloss that followed the natural shape of her mouth. A 1977 Vogue shoot, for example, placed her in a makeup palette built around Honey's beiges and browns colors that complemented her complexion rather than masking it. When you look at Beverly Johnson's classic magazine covers, isn't it remarkable how little makeup was needed to make her lips stand out? Her impact went far beyond one photograph. Johnson went on to appear on hundreds of magazine covers and became one of the defining black models of the 1970s and 1980s. Vogue credits her breakthrough with helping challenge entrenched assumptions about who could represent high-fashion beauty. What made Beverly's look memorable was its balance. Her lips were full and clearly defined, yet rarely exaggerated. Whether photographed in soft nude shades, deeper berry colors, or glossy finishes, they remained one of the strongest features of a face that helped change American fashion. Tracee Ellis Ross. Tracee Ellis Ross has never treated lipstick as a quiet finishing touch. On red carpets, she often makes the mouth the center of the entire look, choosing saturated reds, electric pinks, deep purples, and glossy nudes that emphasize her naturally full, well-defined lips. The effect is playful and sensual without looking overly constructed. One of her most memorable choices came at the 2015 Black Girls Rock event, where Ross wore an intense violet lipstick with minimal makeup elsewhere. Allure noted that the rest of her face was deliberately restrained: foundation, blush, black liner, and mascara, allowing the purple mouth to command attention. When Tracee walks a red carpet, do your eyes go first to her famous curls, or to whichever bold lip color she has chosen that night? Her red lip moments have been just as striking. At the 2018 Golden Globes, Ross paired an all-black Time's Up look with a vivid matte rouge, giving the simple color combination an unmistakably powerful finish. She has continued experimenting rather than adopting only one signature shade. In 2022, Ross appeared on Good Morning America with a sleek braided ponytail and matte cherry red lips, a beauty combination Vogue immediately connected to Sade Adu's classic style. That willingness to move between crimson violet fuchsia and nude shades has made Ross's lips one of the most expressive parts of her beauty image. Her appeal comes less from one specific lipstick and more from the confidence with which she wears color, turning a naturally prominent feature into a recurring centerpiece of her style. Halle Berry. Halle Berry's most memorable beauty looks rarely rely on an overpowering lipstick. Her makeup artists have often done the opposite, choosing soft nude rose peach or brown shades that follow the natural outline of her lips. The result draws attention to their balanced shape with a defined Cupid's bow and a naturally fuller lower lip. That approach was especially visible at the 2002 Academy Awards, the night Berry became the first Black woman to win the Best Actress Oscar. Her makeup was warm and understated, with rose lip liner and shimmering color concentrated towards the center of the mouth. Rather than covering her features with heavy makeup, the look allowed her skin and natural lip shape to remain visible. When you think of Halle Berry's classic red carpet looks, do you picture a bold lipstick or those softer nude lips that became almost a signature? Her lip style has changed with fashion. In 1989, Berry wore much darker lipstick. During the 1990s, brown shades became common. By the early 2000s, pink-brown glosses and nude colors appeared repeatedly, while later appearances often paired smoky eyes with pale or soft pink lips. Berry also keeps her everyday routine simple. She has said that when she is not working, she often avoids makeup altogether. But lip balm remains one of the few products she regularly uses. She even shared an old trick of gently brushing her lips with a toothbrush before applying lipstick to keep them smooth. That restraint became part of her appeal. Whether finished with brown lipstick, sheer gloss, or almost nothing at all, Berry's lips remained clearly defined without needing exaggerated color or heavy overlining. Janelle Monáe. Janelle Monáe built one of the clearest beauty signatures of modern music with just a few carefully repeated details: sculpted natural hair, sharp black eyeliner, and a vivid red mouth. During the early years of her career, when her black and white tuxedos became part of her public identity, the lipstick provided the strongest burst of color on her face. Essence repeatedly described the red lip as part of Monáe's signature look, while Vogue later called her bold red lips something audiences had come to expect. The appeal comes from how naturally the color follows the shape of her lips. Monáe has full, clearly defined lips, so saturated reds make them stand out without requiring dramatic overlining. At the 2015 Met Gala makeup artist Jessica Smalls prepared the lips with sugar and balm, filled them with cherry liner, then applied the lipstick with a brush before blotting and setting it with translucent powder to create what Vogue called a matte bulletproof finish. When you picture Janelle Monáe, would her red lips be one of the first details you remember? That look has remained remarkably consistent, even as her fashion has evolved. At Essence's Best in Black Beauty Awards in 2012, she paired sizzling red lipstick with dark eyeliner and luminous skin. Years later, during the Age of Pleasure tour, Allure again noted her signature winged liner and bright red lip. Monáe's lips work so well within her image because they are never isolated from the rest of her style. The red mouth, precise eye makeup, expressive face, and controlled fashion choices all reinforce one another, giving her a sensual but unmistakably personal look that has endured for more than a decade. Lupita Nyong'o. At the 2014 Academy Awards, Lupita Nyong'o walked onto the red carpet in a pale blue Prada gown with one unexpectedly warm detail on her face, a bright orange lip. Makeup artist Nick Burrows deliberately kept her eyes relatively simple so that the orange on her lips and cheeks could stand out against her deep complexion. That approach quickly became part of Lupita's beauty identity. Her lips are naturally full with a softly rounded upper lip and a noticeably fuller lower lip, giving bold colors plenty of space to make an impact. Instead of relying on the same shade repeatedly, she has worn everything from ruby red and glossy fuchsia to purple burgundy, metallic blue orange, and even black. When Lupita appears on a red carpet, do you notice her dress first, or the color she has chosen for her lips? Her willingness to experiment became obvious almost immediately after her Hollywood breakthrough. Vogue noted in 2014 that Lupita had already embraced vivid violet lipstick and other statement makeup while becoming the new face of Lancôme. At the 2015 Golden Globes, she even shared a video of herself applying a glossy, bright pink lipstick before stepping onto the carpet. Her later appearances pushed that experimentation even further. For Black Panther events, she wore red and burgundy lips, while the European premiere of Star Wars: The Force Awakens saw her appear in metallic blue lipstick. What makes Lupita's lips so memorable is the combination of natural fullness and fearless color. Deep shades sharpen their shape. Gloss emphasizes their volume, and vivid reds or purples turn them into the center of the entire look. Beyoncé. Beyoncé's lips have changed with almost every era of her career, but they have always remained one of the strongest features of her face. During the early Destiny's Child years, she often wore glossy pinks and brown-toned shades. As her solo image became more polished, deeper reds, berries, nudes, and high-shine glosses began appearing more often, each one emphasizing the natural fullness of her mouth. Essence has documented everything from fire engine red and ruby gloss to berry stains and softer nude lips across her career. One of her most striking looks came in 2015 when Beyoncé paired loose blonde waves with a saturated red lip. Vogue described the combination as classic bombshell glamour, with the scarlet mouth giving the entire look its sensual edge. When you think of Beyoncé's beauty, do you picture her glowing skin first, or the full lips that have carried so many different signature shades? What makes her especially suited to this list is that she has never depended on one lipstick color. Nude gloss can make her lips look softer and fuller, while red or deep wine immediately turns them into the focal point of her face. Essence has even highlighted her nude lips as an example of how a barely there glossy shade can still look distinctly seductive. She has also taken risks with unexpected colors. In 2018, Beyoncé appeared in Sardinia wearing an orchid purple lip, a shade Vogue noted stood out dramatically against her complexion and long waves. Across more than 2 decades, Beyoncé's lip looks have moved from youthful gloss to bold, sophisticated color, but the natural shape of her mouth has remained instantly recognizable. Jayne Kennedy. Jayne Kennedy's beauty became part of her public image long before she entered sports television. At 18, she was already demonstrating makeup in a department store, and in 1970, she became the first Black woman to win the Miss Ohio USA title. A few years later, Magazine covers, television appearances, and advertising campaigns turned her into one of the most recognizable black glamour figures of the 1970s. Her lips were an important part of that look. Vintage portraits often show Kennedy wearing warm brown rose or glossy neutral shades that followed the natural shape of her mouth instead of heavily exaggerating it. Her upper lip has a softly defined Cupid's bow, while the fuller lower lip gave her smile a sensual shape that photographed especially well in close-ups. When you look at Jayne Kennedy's classic photographs, do you notice her large, expressive eyes first, or that glossy, perfectly shaped smile? Her beauty was never confined to modeling. In 1978, Kennedy joined CBS's The NFL Today, entering a television world dominated almost entirely by men. A contemporary Washington Post profile described her glamour as unmistakable and noted how strongly audiences responded to her on camera. That visibility also made Kennedy valuable to major beauty and lifestyle brands. She became a spokesperson for companies including Revlon and Fashion Fair Cosmetics, placing her face and the polished makeup style associated with it in national advertising. Her appeal lasted far beyond that era. Kennedy's official biography notes that Ebony later included her among the sexiest women of the 20th century. In those old photographs, elaborate makeup was rarely necessary. Gloss, subtle liner, and her naturally full mouth were often enough to make Jayne Kennedy's smile one of the most memorable parts of her image. Beauty trends change, but certain faces remain unforgettable. Some viewers may choose Dorothy Dandridge's classic red lips, while others might argue that Sade, Rihanna, Beyoncé, or Pam Grier created the more seductive look. But is it really the shape of the lips that makes someone captivating, or the confidence, expression, and personality behind them? Tell us which woman deserves the #1 spot and which name you think should have been included. Share your opinion in the comments and subscribe to Black Legends Revealed for more stories celebrating the style, beauty, and unforgettable legacies of Black entertainment icons.